There are bands known for their music, and there are bands known for their destruction. Motley Crue was both, but what made them different wasn't just the scandals, the arrests, or the overdoses. It was how their most controversial music was born from the worst moments of their lives. In 1981, Too Fast for Love hit like a slap in the face. The production was raw, the sound unrefined. Critics hated it, but fans heard something else. A band that didn't care about the rules. There were whispers even then that this wasn't just glam rock, that it was dangerous, that it was real. The lyrics were crude, the themes explicit, songs about sex, violence, and reckless freedom. The label tried to soften them. The band pushed back, and that tension became their identity. Then came Shout at the Devil in 1983, the album that made parents panic. The inverted pentagram on the cover, the title alone triggered accusations of Satanism. Religious groups called for boycotts. Stores refused to carry it. But controversy sold records, and Motley Crue knew exactly how to use outrage to their advantage. What people didn't know was that behind the scenes, things were already spinning out of control. Nikki Sixx was slipping into full-blown addiction. Tommy Lee was becoming unmanageable. Fights were constant, but they channeled that into the music. The song Bastard was banned from several radio stations. Others accused the band of glorifying violence. They didn't deny it. They leaned into it. The real chaos exploded with Theater of Pain in 1985. After Vince Neil's car crash that killed Hanoi Rocks drummer Razzle, the world expected the band to fall apart. Instead, they released an album soaked in guilt, rage, and defiance. Critics panned it. They called it hollow, but fans turned it into a platinum hit. The track Keep Your Eye on the Money was seen as a middle finger to the industry and the law. And then came Girls, Girls, Girls. This wasn't just music. It was a strip club anthem in the form of an album. The title track caused instant backlash. Radio edits removed entire verses. The video was censored, but it was their best-selling record at the time. The band had become masters of turning moral outrage into profit. Every complaint only made them louder. By now, Nicky was in hell. His heroin addiction was killing him. He overdosed in 1987. Declared legally dead, and somehow brought back with 2 adrenaline shots to the chest. He left the hospital, went home, and shot up again. That's the man who wrote Dr. Feelgood. Released in 1989, Dr. Feelgood was the most polished album of their career, but it was also the most deceptive. It was born from forced sobriety. Management locked the band down, cleaned them up, and pushed them into the studio. The album sounded clean, but underneath, the resentment was boiling. Tommy hated the control. Vince hated the process. Mick Mars was silent but angry. Nicky was pretending to be someone he wasn't.
The song Kickstart My Heart was about Nicky's overdose. People thought it was funny. It wasn't. It was trauma disguised as adrenaline. And Without You, a ballad written through gritted teeth, a love song from a band that hated each other. The album topped the charts. Rolling Stone finally gave them decent coverage, but the band was imploding. And by the time the tour ended, the fractures were permanent. Then came Motley Crue, the self-titled 1994 album that almost no one talks about. Vince Neil was gone, replaced by John Corabi. The music was darker, heavier, more serious. Critics loved it, fans didn't. The album tanked, not because it was bad, but because it wasn't scandalous. It didn't feel dangerous, it felt grown up. And that's not what fans wanted from Motley Crue. By 1997, they brought Vince back for Generation Swine, and with it came the most confused, chaotic album of their career. It was a mess. Industrial sounds, fake techno beats, half-baked lyrics. Vince didn't like it. Neither did the fans. But buried in that disaster were moments of real anger, real dysfunction. You could hear the band trying to sound modern and failing, because they were no longer chasing trends, they were chasing survival. By 2000, they dropped New Tattoo, a poor attempt at returning to their roots, but it wasn't working. Tommy Lee had left, Randy Castillo replaced him, but died before the tour ended. The curse continued. The years passed, the band kept reuniting, farewell tours that didn't last, reality shows, scandals, lawsuits, but the music never hit the same. Not because they lost their talent, but because they lost the chaos that fueled it.
Motley Crue wasn't made to last. They were made to explode. And they did, over and over again. Their most controversial albums weren't accidents. They were snapshots of collapse, of addiction, ego, death, and rage, turned into songs that millions sang without realizing what they meant. And that's the real legacy, not the eyeliner, or the groupies, or the motorcycles, but the pain captured forever in vinyl. They didn't just play heavy metal, they lived it, and they almost died for it.
But even after all the destruction, Motley Crue remained unapologetic. Every reunion, every new track, every scandal was met with the same smirk they wore back in '81. They knew exactly what people expected of them, and they gave it, even if it meant faking the fire. But the truth was, the fire had taken its toll. Behind every stage dive and encore was a band barely holding itself together, wired by contracts, grudges, and memories they couldn't erase. Some fans say the music doesn't sound the same anymore, that the new recordings feel hollow, but maybe that's the point. The chaos that once fueled their sound nearly killed them. You can't recreate that. You shouldn't have to. Still, it's those early albums, the ones dripping with scandal, confusion, and fury that people keep going back to, not because they were perfect, but because they were real.
In the end, Motley Crue wasn't trying to be controversial. They just didn't know how to survive quietly. Their albums are the sound of lives spiraling, of control slipping, of fame costing more than anyone imagined. You don't listen to Motley Crue to feel safe. You listen to remember what it's like to live without limits, and what it costs when the bill comes due.